Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to In Defense of the Hays Code. Now, I have a confession. Okay, take two, ladies and gentlemen. Not actually take two. We're not cutting this, but
Yeah, we don't edit.
I have a confession to make, ladies and gentlemen. I know last time I said we would be covering G-Man with James Cagney, and we will. But there's a movie I really, really want to talk about on this podcast because, simply put, you all know me as the I love old movies guy, as the old movies are great guy. So I want to cover an old movie that I cannot stand.
which is just exciting for me. The fact that
Mhm.
there's one that, I mean, of course there's going to be lemons in the bunch,
Mhm.
but coming from you, one that isn't just, oh, I don't like this one as much,
Mhm.
but oh, I can't stand this movie. That's hilarious, and I'm looking forward to getting into it as
Now,
well.
now, of course, I'll talk about things I like about the movie, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, ladies and gentlemen, today we are covering, because I almost launched into it without saying what movie we were covering, because I'm a professional. Today we will be covering the movie came out in 1938, starring Andy Hart. That's the name of the character. Starring Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland, Lana Turner, and a handful of other actors and actresses. Love finds Andy Hardy, and it just. I don't even know where to begin with this movie.
Okay.
Oh,
So off screen, folks, he has been telling me for a while that he is looking forward to a movie that first of all that he doesn't like, and then to see, and we haven't talked about whether I like it or not yet. To see whether I like it, and if I do, we're gonna have some heated conversation. And if I don't, it'll be interesting just because we've never covered a movie that we both haven't liked.
right.
So, do you have anything before I launch into my thoughts?
The main thing I dislike about this movie, just right out the gate, it's Mickey Rooney. And
you you
I know
don't like
those of you,
you don't like Mickey Rooney?
or rather, I should say, I don't like young Mickey Rooney.
Okay.
I know a lot of people would go, Bud Ellis, uh, whatever movie he was in.
Not at the
Somebody,
museum.
thank you. Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah.
Ellis, Night at the Museum, but Ellis this, but he was Santa in that one of the Rankin Bass specials.
Yep.
And those are all great. But I don't. And we'll get further into detail with this, but to me, young Mickey Rooney just comes off as a twerp. I
A
mean,
twerp.
just genuinely a twerp. And he's supposed to, be portrayed as like this all around, everyday, all American cool kid, and da 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 da. And I'm just going, dude, you'd be pushed into the nearest snowbank. This would not end well for you. And
Pushed
yes,
into the nearest snowbank.
we
I
are
like that
starting
one.
out with Ellis bullying dead stars. This is going to be interesting.
Man. Yeah, he's coming in swinging. I haven't even mentioned whether I like it or not yet, but he's coming in. Wha-bang, wha-bang, wha-bang.
Well, like,
Uh,
and
Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, for the scene that stands out in my mind, where I was just like, you can't be serious here. When he and the actress's name is Lana Turner. I think her character in the film is named Cynthia. I say
Okay.
think like I haven't.
The redheaded.
Yes.
Yeah, they make mention of her red hair a lot in it.
Mm-hmm. When he's up at the pool, oh hey Cynthia, watch this, and does all the weird sort of diving stuff, and I'm just like, oh come on, what is this? What are you? What's going on?
Yeah, that was wild.
Mm-hmm.
That was wild. All right. Here we go.
I'd do a drum roll, but I don't know how that would work with the audio.
I'll just do this. That sounded more like Chewbacca than a drum roll. Whatever.
Mhm.
Okay, so Love Finds Andy. Hardy?
Yes,
Hardy, yeah.
Hardy.
So great two leading people. Mickey Rooney is a legend. Judy Garland, a legend. I'll say this, that I believe it was meant to be a comedy. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
I can remember laughing maybe 3 times.
Mhm.
It was a lot of cringe. And I know that's where you're at as well.
Mhm.
But so as you said, you were gonna do some positives. Let me hit on some positive notes.
Yeah.
The guy who plays the dad and the dad's character, phenomenal.
Oh, Lewis. Sorry. Didn't mean
Yeah,
to-
go ahead. Tell me.
Lewis Stone is an amazing actor.
Okay, yeah.
I'd be tempted to call him the poor man's Lionel Barrymore because the role was originally originated by Lionel Barrymore.
Okay.
He is such a good actor.
When he was on the screen, I was like, I want to stay with this character. I want to follow what he does. He's the wise father. He's taking care of the family. He's don't want to give away too many spoilers, but
I was going to say I think we kind of have to in order to discuss some of the
Do we?
finer points of this movie. Particularly a letter young Andy gets near to like 2/3 of the way through the film.
A what now?
A letter.
Oh
We
yeah,
discussed this beforehand. I realized.
that's right. That's right.
I feel like we'll have to. But anyway, sorry. Go on.
Okay, so yeah. Before I do, let me just ask. Okay, is this one of those where we're telling the audience that even if it's not top notch, you should watch the movie?
Oh, 100%. Form your own opinions. I mean, I hate this movie with a fiery, unmatched passion, but I'd still recommend it over most movies nowadays.
Oh, burn, burn on modern day Hollywood.
And I cards on the table. I have seen this movie like 4 times because I had to figure out what I hated about it so much.
Okay, now that's interesting. Let's come back around to that.
Yeah.
On why you would watch it more than once. So let's try to keep that in mind.
Right.
Okay, so the dad was probably my favorite character. Yeah. Mickey Rooney looked to be about 30 and he was playing a 15-year-old.
Thank you for waiting to say that because oh, that would be bad.
Were you taking a sip?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he was a full-grown man, and at one point he was like, "Man, when I turned 16, oh boy!" And I was like, what?"
Yeah, the casting of the ages is weird. You know, Judy Garland's character was supposed to be 12.
I know, and she looked as old as any of the other 15-year-olds.
Yeah, she was 16. Yeah, she was 16 at the time.
Okay.
Do math in my brain.
I mean, she looks about 16, 17. Yeah. But it's funny because in the movie she's considered like a child.
Yeah.
She's the same height. She looks like all the other girls. She's I mean, it's like, oh, okay. It seemed like once he heard what her age was, and he was like, "Oh, now she's young." And like that's the reason he realized she was young, was just because he heard her age. And meanwhile, he's 38. I don't know how old he really was. Do you know?
I think at that point, let's see, he would have been 18,
Re-
19, somewhere around there. Yeah,
Gracious. He aged quickly.
he did.
I guess he's always looked like that.
Mhm.
Of course, in like Night of the Museum, he's very old. But I remember watching like Twilight Zone episodes, an episode with him in it, where it was later down the road, not a lot later, I guess. But anyway, yeah, I would not have called that he was that young, just because he looks like, yeah, I've already said he looks like he's 30 something years old. And the way he, okay, I was gonna say good things. Let me try to
Yeah.
get back to those. Let me try to get back to those. There was several jokes that I really liked. That it was purely good writing.
Mhm.
So there was a lot. Okay, so the storyline was interesting, and the storyline, like, and dialogue,
Mhm.
not all of it, but a lot of the dialogue was really good. And so, like, the backstory of the mom having to go visit her mother,
Mhm.
all of that, and the dad, all of that stuff that was the backstory was way more interesting than what was going on with Andy Hardy.
There's a scene that I've talked about before, talking about scenes that are funny, and now that you've seen it, you understand. Hopefully, you'll remember what I'm talking about. It's when they hired the maid, and um, the sister's trying to make the coffee, and the coffee has turned out
Yes.
awful. But they're
Yes.
talking about how good it is, and the maid takes over, takes a sip, and then spits out, "No, I'm not working here. I'm not working for anywhere that calls this mud coffee."
Yes.
And that was the scene I was laughing at. I was like, man, this movie's hilarious. Why do I hate this? And then in comes Andy Hardy
Oh
off
no.
screen. And I'm like, oh, that's why.
Oh, that's hilarious. So yes, it had some of the same characteristics. That scene was one of them that was just well written. The lady that they had play the maid, the cook that was hired.
Mhm.
When she was arguing with the daughter about if the coffee was good, because the daughter, she thought she'd done great.
Mhm.
She thought she'd done good with the coffee, and she was telling the maid, we have very high standards around here. We got to have good coffee. The maid just sniffs the pot of coffee and is like, I'm not working here if y'all call this mud coffee. I'm not working here. She takes off her
Yeah.
apron. She's about to quit. And I was like, okay, this is fantastic. This is like Three Stooges type dialogue, and just like really drastic and blown out of proportion.
Now, I
Hilarious.
know we've talked several times on this podcast, on this channel, about like movies that are already good but are uplifted by a wonderful supporting cast.
Yeah.
This is a movie that is being dragged along by its wonderful supporting cast.
I agree.
This is a movie that is treading water, but the supporting cast has it by the back of the neck and is just pulling it. Because it just...
Okay. So I've said that I've thought there were some really funny scenes. I've thought that the subplot was really good. It was dramatic. There was funny stuff. I love the dad who was the judge. I liked how he was just like wise in a lot of things. Very much like a judge should be. He wasn't harsh, but he was fair, and he talked about justice, like what that actually looks like, and all kinds of just interesting things. So with all of that, and let me just say, Judy Garland was amazing too.
Mhm.
Like she played her role just so interesting.
I think that was one of her first real film roles, if memory serves. She hadn't been in her career very long.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. That was like maybe the second year she'd been acting. So very young.
Yeah. So only a handful of movies, I'd guess.
Mhm.
Well, she was just so convincing in the part that she was supposed to be playing. And there was a song that she sang, In Between.
Mhm.
And it's like when you're not a kid, but you're not an adult. And uh it just brought me back to my middle school days. I was like, yeah, that's how it feels. That's so weird.
Mhm.
Very, very timeless song. And she belts it out, like one of the best to ever do it.
Mhm.
I mean, she can sing.
Yeah.
Just saw a mouse run by my floor. That's not cool.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, I'm propping my feet up now. Yeah, let me try to recover. Um, yeah, so that's kind of how the movie was. It's like things were going well, and then all of a sudden a mouse ran by, and his name was Mickey Rooney.
Yeah.
So tell me, why was it that you said that you didn't know why you didn't like it? Why did you keep watching it if you didn't like it? Yeah, just go with that a
Because
little bit.
like I said, I didn't like it, but there were parts about it that I did like. So I was sitting there and I was like, okay, this movie has the working parts to be a good movie. Like in my
Mhm.
opinion, it's got a good cast. Um, most of the plot is salvageable. You know, it's funny at parts. You
Yeah.
know, so but why do I detest this film? And sort of conversely, what is it about this film that works?
Yeah.
And again, I've already said it, but having also watched bits and parts of a couple of the other Andy Hardy films, it's the supporting cast,
Mm.
which is to say, it's entirely Judy Garland. If it wasn't for Judy Garland,
Yeah, yeah.
I could not stomach this movie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Go ahead.
it's so just to answer your question, I wasn't satisfied with just going, oh, I don't like this movie, or oh,
Mhm.
I think this movie's bad. I wanted to know why, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, yeah. So it yeah, you were digging in deeper. It wasn't just good enough that, oh, I don't like it, so I don't want to watch it again. But it had so many of those good elements, like you were
Mhm,
saying, that it was like, this should be a good movie.
mhm,
Why is it not?
yeah.
And what you're saying is that essentially the supporting cast, mainly Judy Garland, she's just so good um at 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 playing the roles that she
Mhm,
plays. Obviously, Wizard of Oz, instant classic,
mhm.
and still is today. But what you're getting to is what you said. I think close to the beginning is that the main problem is a young Mickey Rooney.
Right. And just given what he's very hyperactive in this film, and I almost want to give him a pass because they. And yes, I know I'm the old Hollywood guy, but old Hollywood was not always kosher, ladies and gentlemen. It was not always good. And I know they gave their young stars a bunch of things that we would consider, like a bunch of drugs and pills we would consider highly illegal today,
Mm,
in order to like pump them up and get them to do like 72-hour shoots before they
that's
knock them
crazy.
out for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm,
so part of me wants to give him the benefit of the doubt and go, maybe he was just. I think this sounds like a joke, but I'm being serious. Maybe he was high the entire movie.
yeah.
You know, but at the same time, it's just none of the others are like that. It's just him. He's too bouncy through the whole movie.
Yeah, yeah. Instead of being 15, he seems like he's 8.
Yeah. And just and this is why I said we'd have to dig into the movie. The subplot with the mother going to see her mother and then them having to contact her and all this stuff, that's great. But
Yeah.
that's just the subplot.
I know.
The main part of the movie about the wanting the $8 so he can buy the new car and then like dating somebody else's girlfriend while the guy's away so nobody else would date her. It's very weird.
It's just such an odd plot, and I was so glad that Polly was her name. That was his
And
girl.
Rutherford's Jim. But sorry, go on.
That's the actress's name.
Mhm.
And who?
Rutherford.
Rutherford. Okay. I know her as Polly from this movie.
Yeah.
So when she found out what he was doing,
Mhm.
I was like, finally, someone's upset about this because it's just been like normal. He's just like, yeah, I'm getting paid to date this girl until he gets back, and then I'm gonna drop her because I want to get a car. And I was just like, oh, what? This doesn't seem very Hays Code.
No. And I think probably why they got away with it is, this is just kids being kids. It's kids being silly. And it's like,
Yeah. And it, it did all blow up in his face. At one point he says, first I have 2 dates for a dance, now I have no dates for a dance. And so, yeah, I mean that's very in line with the Hays Code. But yeah, when they were doing all that, I was like, oh, what? This is bizarre. And when he was like trying to entertain the girl that they kept referring to as the redheaded girl,
Cheryl. Did you want the actress name or the character's name?
Character.
Cheryl, I think.
Cheryl, maybe. I think we said a different name earlier.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I know the actress's name is Lana Turner, and I'm like 80% certain it's Cheryl.
Okay. I'm not sure. But we'll go with Lana.
Yeah.
So, yeah. He was like, hey, do you like tennis? She was like, no. Do you like swimming? No. Do you like this? No. She just hated everything. And so, yeah, he definitely did get some just desserts, I
mean, honestly, though, if you had Mickey Rooney coming up to you and like, hey, do you want to play tennis? I would have gotten no. I hate tennis. I've never played tennis before in my life. What's tennis? Just
right.
anything.
Yeah. Right. I mean, he could have said, hey, you want to play Uno? And, no, I don't know how.
Yeah.
I can't do that. Go fish? Nope. So I will circle back to this. You mentioned that okay, so old Hollywood, they would treat especially child actors terribly.
Oh, horribly.
And so it's important to distinguish, like you said, you almost want to give him a pass. And so for the actor Mickey Rooney, sure.
Yeah.
But we're just observing what the movie was. And ultimately, that's on the producers and the directors. And if he was drugged, that's their fault. And so, yeah, we can observe a movie and say, oh, that's terrible. Or that's fantastic. And know that behind the scenes, okay, here is 3 bad reasons why it was a good movie, or 3 bad reasons why it was a bad movie. But to differentiate that, and I think even in today's world, people will look at a character in a movie and be like, "Oh, that's who the actor really is." And so, yeah, I just think that yeah, since you brought that up, I think that's an interesting point to make, that characters are not who the actors are and how they get treated and things like that. But uh, I I got so aggravated at points in the movie. Okay,
Well,
so one point, um, he just, well, twice he made train noises. He was like woo 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 woo, and I was like, yeah, I just froze. I couldn't. I was like, what? Why did he do that? I don't.
mhm,
I I mean, he was happy, but
mhm.
why did he go off the rails like that?
The character of Mickey Rooney, to use a more modernism, at points in the movie felt like the 1930s version of a "How do you do, fellow kids" type thing in just the writing.
Oh, you're talking about the meme.
Yes,
Okay, okay.
I,
So yeah, the Steve Buscemi meme where he's
yeah,
got the skateboard and he's like, "Yeah, how do you do, fellow kids?" And he looks ancient, but he's got the hat
mhm,
on backwards.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, that's a great comparison. It was
Well,
like a movie based off of that meme.
one thing I find funny is like not counting Judy Garland's character Betsy, um, Andy, Andy's girlfriend Polly, and then the girl he's dating, who may or may not be named Cheryl. The
Right.
more time, Cynthia. It was Cynthia, and I
There we
said
go.
Cynthia earlier.
You did say it. Yeah, Cynthia.
That's why you. Okay, sorry. Andy Hardy,
That's
his
right.
girlfriend Polly, and then Cynthia. They're
Cynthia.
all supposed to be the same age, right?
Right.
Mickey Rooney was born in 1920.
Okay.
Lana Turner was born in 1921.
All right.
Anne Rutherford was born in 1917.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
Mhm.
So, yeah, not super far off in age, but still not not as they portrayed it. And then of course Judy Garland. Oh yeah, she's 12.
Yeah, it's just
uh the one guy that I felt like of the younger people that they got right was the music conductor
mhm,
that was at the dance. He had like come from New York, and he was in town, and he recognized Judy Garland, um and wanted her to sing. And then later he was interested in Andy Hardy's older sister.
mhm,
Both of them looked about the same age and older.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, these, kids, however old they were supposed to be, I don't know. But that makes sense. But I kept trying to figure. Here's what I honestly thought about Judy Garland. I thought that they were gonna say, no, she's actually 17 or
Mhm.
16, like older
Yeah.
than them. I thought that was gonna be a punchline. No,
Nope.
no.
Nope. Nope. Yeah, it's just that movie's so rough to get through.
So yes, so it was rough, because of your vocal disdain for it in the past. I was looking forward to it and I enjoyed watching it.
Mhm.
But I think the term that defines it is just rough. It's just he's just over the top. Oh boy, yeah, let's
Mhm.
go, Pop. Hey, da, 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 da. It's like, what?
That may be why we like the character of his father so much,
Mm,
because His dad has none of it. Can I have a
Right.
few bucks, Pop? They're dollars, Andrew. And it's like, yeah, you tell him.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. His dad was just like such a, and they may have done this very intentionally to have such a juxtaposition between the dad and the son. I think,
Mhm.
of course, they did to an extent, but because they were portraying the father as wise and the son as unwise.
Better than how I would have put it. Father is wise, son is a complete idiot, but please go on. Oh,
Well, that's the way it was portrayed.
mhm,
That's what the end result was. I'll give you that. That was the end result. But I think they were probably just going for like immature, mature, that kind of thing.
mhm.
But yeah, just the outrageousness of Mickey Rooney's character was pretty shocking, because it wasn't like outrageous as some of the other screwball comedies,
Right.
like Arsenic and Old Lace.
Mhm.
So with that movie, uh Cary Grant, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Cary Grant, he was outrageous, but it made sense.
Katharine Hepburn in Bringing Up Baby,
Yep.
as crazy as she was, made more sense as a
She
character.
she did, and man, she was off the walls. But it was like they made a movie and then they were like, let's just put a different movie's character in
Mhm,
this. And I will say this, that when I saw that there was more than one
mhm,
of the Hardy movies,
uh-huh.
I was like, I've got to watch them all.
I I'll
These
I'll
these are
I'll give you this
wild.
warning because I've seen, like, 2/3 of another one of the Andy Hardy films.
Okay.
I hate Love Finds Andy Hardy. I hate Love Finds Andy Hardy with an undying passion.
Uh-huh.
Love Finds Andy Hardy is, as far as I'm concerned and as far as I'm aware, the best of the Andy Hardy films.
Okay.
Like, I was all like, yeah, we're going to cover the other Thin Man films. I don't want to put myself to the other Andy Hardy films.
I'm not gonna ask you to. I'm not gonna ask you to. I'll say this. I might watch them. And folks at home, y'all can watch the rest of the Hardy
Like,
movies.
please don't
But
take my opinion as gospel. I'm a very opinionated man, especially when I don't like things.
well, we just won't be covering those on the channel. But uh I I will say that, you know, some of the other movies that we've gone over
Mhm.
that have been goofy, and we've already mentioned, like Bringing Up Baby
Yeah.
and Arsenic and Old Lace. Um, the characters fit, and there was something about the main plot, and then his out of placeness throughout the whole movie,
Mhm.
and he was the leading role,
And
so that made it rough.
I think this just came to me while you were talking. Like, think about Arsenic and Old Lace and Bringing Up Baby and My Man Godfrey.
Mm-hmm.
They have crazy, kooky characters. But there's two main distinctions between those films and Love Finds Andy Hardy. One, we are not following the crazy, kooky characters.
Like
We are
they're
not
not the main
right,
protagonists. Is that
right.
what you're
We are not.
saying?
Yeah, we're not trapped in the same headspace as Susan Vance, as Katharine Hepburn's character.
Yeah.
We're following Cary Grant's character in two of those films, coincidentally enough. you know, or we're following William Powell's character, because those characters are the straight man in
Yeah.
the comedy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's one thing Love Finds Andy Hardy is missing.
Okay.
So again, jumping subjects. Remember, so early Andy Griffith.
Yeah.
Not really jumping subjects, using a different example. Early Andy Griffith, season one Andy Griffith. Andy was a bit more of the country bumpkin. He was a bit goofier.
Right. Very redneck.
Right around, I think, the end of season one, beginning of season two, I've read where Andy Griffith, the actor, went, no, 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 I've got to be the serious one. I've got to be the straight man
Yep.
and let all of these other crazy characters play off of.
Yeah. Mainly Don Knotts,
Mm-hmm.
because he saw that Don Knotts was just a genius at the slapstick goofy
Mhm.
guy.
Yeah.
And he was like, we've got to have me be. Yeah, he was genius in what he was saying there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've heard that too. It's
Now
good.
I'm going to throw terms at you that you understand, but the audience might be a little lost on.
Okay, I
Now,
may be lost too.
No, you're not going to be lost. Believe me,
Okay.
you won't be lost.
All right.
Let's take Andy. Well, I would say let's take Andy Hardy out of the film. But yeah, let's take Andy Hardy out of the film and put him as a character in another film where he is sort of that same character, that same stuff is going on. So maybe not take him on. Anyway, if the film wasn't following Andy Hardy,
Mm-hmm.
but say Connie Messer or Evie
Okay.
Rose Messer,
Yes,
and you
I know
have
what that means.
all this stuff happening, like with Andy and Betsy and Cynthia and all this other stuff, but you're watching it from the perspective of somebody else who
Yeah.
was more straight laced. And I think that's what the film for me is missing. There's no room to breathe.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. I may have brought up other things that distracted you from it, but you said there was two distinctives.
Yeah.
So that was one of them.
Well, no, I mean the two distinctives were that um, basically that there was no straight man, and we were having to follow the kooky character. Those were both of the distinctives.
Gotcha. Yeah. So even though there were like the dad as the judge that was a more straight character, he
Right.
wasn't following in the story
Right.
like Andy and Barney.
Because
like
I think
side by side.
because part of what makes Bringing Up Baby great is the fact that you are watching, Katharine Hepburn's character go completely bonkers, but you're also basically standing in place with Cary Grant.
Right. They've got you looking through his perspective.
Right.
And in Love Finds Andy Hardy, you're looking through Andy's perspective.
Right.
Which just makes you feel like a lunatic.
Now, if for instance, let's change some things. We've never done this before, but this is a neat experiment, sort of, if we change some things around in the film. Aged Judy Garland's character up to 16, so it's not quite as eyebrow raising, and followed her as she moved in next door to the Hardy family.
Yeah.
And then suddenly has to deal with, suddenly finds herself in the middle of Andy Hardy trying to get a car and, dating Cynthia while his girlfriend's off, see family, but she isn't. But the entire time, we're not following Andy. We are following Betsy, Judy Garland's character, who's been swept up into this.
Yeah.
That to me would have been a much better viewing experience.
So here's what's weird is that if you've seen Love Finds Andy Hardy, folks at home, and you understand what Ellis is saying here, it not only would have changed the aspect of it, but I think what he just said was probably the smartest thing that's ever been said on the podcast, especially from my end. If that had been the case, and you you start out in New York, and she comes to town, and she's heard about Andy Hardy, and she's interested to meet him, and then she sees like, oh, what's going on, and all that stuff. Like, man, that's good. That's good. We should remake it and let you write it.
But I mean, because I'm just thinking about
Crazy.
it, and I've never gotten to do that before in this context because we've always talked about great movies. But yeah, if it had just followed her perspective, I think, it would have been a much better film because we could have seen everything from the outside,
Right.
And just, just that's Alice's take at least.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that. I like that we've done a movie that that you despise, and let's see. I rate the movies. I'll give this one a 4 out of 10. Yeah, because there was some great lines. I really liked the judge. Judy Garland was amazing. She sang in it, so it was good. What about you? What would you rate it?
I would give this about maybe a 3, maybe a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
Because, like you said, Judy Garland's in it. The supporting cast is excellent, and you know me, I'm a sucker for a good supporting cast, even if the movie's great, even if it's terrible.
For sure.
I love a good supporting cast. But I think they didn't dial Andy's character down enough. They did, he was, like you said, he acted 8, and he's supposed to be like 15, 16?
15. Yeah. Right.
But yeah, so, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a first for the channel, for the podcast. You've seen me discuss a movie I don't like. Next week we'll be back to your regularly scheduled programming as we cover a good film, James Cagney in G-Man. And remember, all I have is nothing but movies and time. See you later.